Well, hello everyone, and here we are again for the new day. Today is Crusader, Tumblr, and Misc. Yep, that's the three. I was like, which was the third one again? But then I remembered it. I think I've come along to the expo hall a wee bit too early because none of the elevators are working. They're just taking you straight back here. It's the only destination. So I thought, you know what? Seen them in the showroom. It's the same showroom, and you just seen it over and over again. Will be as well just popping on over to the browser and taking a look at all the ships in the sale from the site's perspective instead. So, well, got your tabs here, so we'll start on Crusader because they're the main one. So there's the A2, there's all the Herculeses basically. This one's your big military bomber. Probably extremely overpriced, but for what it does, if you want that niche of like a bomber, yeah, have at it. It's the only ship that does that currently, so yeah, it is a really good niche. But again, it's got military tax coming out of the Swanee, and then niche tax and tax. So yeah, it's super expensive. Then the Ares, Ion and Inferno, the Crusader Industries heavy fighter. That's all about the one giant gun. This ship is a flying gun with a ship attached. Not much to say other than that. It's called a capital ship killer here, but I do not think it is a capital ship killer. I think a whole squadron of these will be enough to give capital ships concern. But if the capital ship has anti-fighter armaments, the capital ship is still going to be able to kill these a lot faster than they can kill the capital ship. Yeah, you're going to need whole wings of these to give capital ships pause for concern kind of thing. And even then, you're going to need to have target saturation and lots of other things that will keep fighters alive eventually, because fighters are overpowered at the current state of the game when there's no armor, there's no there's just HP you've got to take down to kill it kind of thing. But once armor and physicalized components come online and we're disabling ships more than we're killing them, yeah, fighters ain't going to be able to do diddly squat against big capital ships. And ships like these will allow them to deal damage to capital ships, but still, unless that capital ship is really weak against small ships smaller than it, I don't think these things are going to be that much a problem. And if there's a hammerhead with them, these ships, I don't think they're capital ship killers. I think what they are is large ship killers. So if you had a couple of these and you go and destroy stuff like Constellation classes and stuff like that, I think ships like the Connie will have to really worry about these things. It is quite an interesting fighter, and it is kind of like a different take on the bomber ship. So instead of having a bomber ship that's using like missiles or torpedoes kind of thing, it's got a big gun instead. Right, the C2, which is your, if I scroll down, your war bond upgrade for today. I think it's $30 off, because I picked up one in case I wanted one, and it was a $20 upgrade for what would normally be a $50 upgrade, so that was a really good value. Then I realised afterwards that I don't think I'm going to use that upgrade because I'm going to wait for that ship to be released instead, and it should go up more than that. So I was always like, oh, I should have thought about that one more hand, but still, that's extra credits in the bank, I suppose. But yeah, the C2, it is basically this ship here, but without the bombing capabilities and extra storage. It is great, as you see here. It is one of the few ships in the game that can actually transport around the Nova tank at this point in time. And yeah, it's a great orbital to ground transport ship. There are ships, if you want to trade cargo, there are other ships that I would use if you were planning more long distance, like a hull or other stuff like that. But if you're wanting to trade from like orbit to ground, this is probably the best ship out there. It's probably like the highest tier that this could go. This is like the ultimate of that orbital sort of drop. And you see here it's been used to drop off tanks. And then you've got the M2, which is like the military variant of it, so it's got extra armor and a lot of extra guns. This thing has a lot of downward facing firepower. So it is the military variant of this. So it has a less storage, so it can't carry as much cargo and it can't carry as many tanks, which is weird when you think of it as the military variant. You think more tanks, but then when you think about it, it's using that cargo space for extra armor, extra guns. So yes. I've not actually tried to see how many tanks I could fit in here and if you can actually fit less tanks in here. It's just in theory, because it's got less cargo space, I'm thinking it'll fit less tanks too. But I haven't tested that out. It could actually be possible you get just as many in it. But in theory, it's got less cargo space, it should fit less tanks. Yep. Okay, and what we got next then? The Mercury Star Runner. I'm not really 100% sure why this is on military sale, but it is a great value daily driver. And it appears to be the highest tier information sort of broker ship we've got at the moment. So we've got the sort of entry level in the Vulture, then we've got this bad boy here that's got good sensors and scanners for finding its information, and then it has lots of PCs for data running that data from A to B, which is how like the internet in Star Citizen works, because obviously you're traveling from system to system. You don't have a big cable that goes from system to system. And so how does the internet work kind of thing for them for that? They've got these data running ships that'll jump through the wormholes, give you this placed information, and it'll jump back kind of thing. Not like it's the internet, you're sitting there waiting for the information to come through on this. It's more whenever this comes through, it'll update the internet in that local area, and then it'll jump back and get the next updates and come back and do that. So the internet, you won't be sitting there waiting like, 10 minutes till this like ship arrives with the information I requested. It's not going to be like updating like that from what I could see in Lure. It's updating as in this place has its database, and then when something changes, it'll update the main one in the capital, and then data running ships will then take it out. That's just one way to data run. There's going to be lots of other different types of data run. We don't really know much about what that gameplay is going to be like, but this ship is also, like as I said, a good daily driver. The only thing it's really not good at is combat. It has lots of recreation stuff on board for you and the crew. It has good cargo storage space in the back, so if you want to do some trade runs as well, and also can take a couple of vehicles. It's a good daily driver. Your good go-to ship. Unless you're planning to fight, then it's not a good go-to ship. It's just for your general all-purpose. So that is a Crusader. Now we have Tumblr, and these are the ground vehicle main manufacturer. So let's see what military ships we've got here today. This first one picture is not wanting to load, but this is the Cyclone AA. There we go. It's basically just a little Jeep, some missiles on top. If you want one, buy one in game. They're way too expensive outside the game, and they're cheapest chips in game. You get a little car with missile launchers on the back, or a little Jeep. Then you got the Tumblr Cyclone, which is again your little Jeep. It has some missiles and a machine gun on top. So I don't know why I'd say it's probably better than the AA, but it's cheaper for some reason, because you got the gun and the missiles. So I think the missiles on this one are bigger. And this one's kind of like the best of both worlds with guns and missiles, which gives it a lot more versatility in my book, which makes it better, but apparently makes it worse according to the price. The RN, I'm not sure which. I think this is the racing equivalent of this Jeep. Then you've got the turret gunned one here, which is kind of like the other end of the spectrum of these three. It's all about the big gun, and you could argue that that is the best one because it'll have the most ammunition kind of thing and the biggest gun. But again, it's cheaper again, so maybe they value missiles much higher than they do guns. But again, all these buy in-game. They're super cheap in-game, and they're super expensive outside of game. The Nova Tonk does what it says on the tin. It is a Tonk. Lots of guns, lots of armor. I would 99% of the time, unless ground fighting is your thing, buy it in-game as well, because they are quite expensive outside of game, and they're relatively cheap considering we're buying ships in-game. They're relatively cheap. Ranger, little bike, a couple of guns on the side. Nothing else really to say about that. It's just a little bike. And again, once again, even though this is the cheapest thing here, buy it in-game because they are cheap as chips in-game. Well, obviously this is still in concept, but when it is released, it'll be about the same price as a Vulture, not a Vulture, a Dragonfly, and that is just not worth $40. You can buy it, like, even a small ship like a Huawei, one trade run, and you've got enough to buy this. So yeah, you can earn it in half an hour in-game. So it's not worth $40 to me at all. None of the ground vehicles are. Right. Onto Misc. We've got the Freelancer Misc, which is the Freelancer. This is the military variant of the Freelancer. So it has extra armor and has a lot of extra missiles. Quite a unique playstyle in this sort of combat ship is it's sort of like a rear line support, fire missiles into the combat kind of thing going on here, which we don't have really a ship to act like that kind of thing in game now. So it's quite a unique ship in that form of its sort of rear line support, and you're going to have the fighters out engaging the front line kind of thing, and yeah, it'll be keeping you safe because it's going to need a fighter escort if it's getting involved in proper fights. And then, because it doesn't want to be involved in dogfights or anything like that itself, and it's not really punching up, so it's probably going to be fighting fighters because its missiles aren't that big. Yeah. The Razor. It's a little stealth racing ship, used for scouting, that kind of thing. The Reliant Tana, which is the one of the top of the range civilian grade fighters. It's in quite a bad place. It really needs its gold standard right now, especially with stuff like the wings are easy to get torn off, and there's lots of the Reliant series. It's a love-hate relationship I've got with them kind of thing. It's they look cool, they are cool, but they're just not in a great place in game at the moment. They're a lot better place than they used to be. They got some really big buffs. I think it was last year, or it might have been the year before that now. It's been that long. But yeah, they're really cool. PvE, they'll do brilliant, but PvP, people will just aim for those wings, destroy them. Like if you're up against a good pilot, you've got no hope really in this kind of thing in PvP. The Starfarer Gemini, this is probably my recommended ship bang for buck today. If you are investing more into the game than more than just a starter ship, this is a good one to keep an eye out for, to slowly build a CCU chain up for. It is a really, really good jack of all trades, master of none, and the basic Starfarer as well. This is the military variant of it, which has got more guns and it's got a lot more armor. But this ship can do an awful lot, and it's the only ship that can refuel other ships that we know of at the moment. And it can do that in-game at this point in time as well. It is a great ship for resupplying fleets and that sort of thing. So it's got a really good storage capacity. It's got lots of fuel tanks as well. So it can carry a lot of fuel and a lot of cargo. So you could have tons and tons of supplies of food, equipment, and anything that a fleet might need to keep it running in the back in the storage, and then you can bring tons of fuel as well. So this is the kind of thing that a fleet might dispatch to go back and get supplies for it and then come back. It's the type of thing you might bring along just to add longevity to your fleet so it can sort of chug along with you, and then when all the other ships start running out of fuel, they can get some fuel and resources from this thing. It is a good support supply ship to help out any fleet really, and it's really good as a jack of all trades sort of for someone here, because you'll be able to do several things with it. You'll be able to do trade runs in it, you'll be able to resupply other players or NPCs fuel. It'll give you quite a few different ways to make money kind of thing. It is not great at combat, but because it's the military variant, it is up armoured and up gunned, so it will be able to defend itself from light attacks or undertake very light PvE missions, like I don't know, maybe destroy a couple of fighters, light fighters, PvE fighters, not going PvP, and it's, yeah. Then if you had someone in the turret gun kind of thing, and the pilot's got a couple of guns, but this thing won't be able to track fighters if you... Yeah, okay, forget the taking on the PvE
missions as well. It's not great at fighting. It's mainly defensive, it's armament, but yeah, it's got a good jack of all trades type Misc thing going for it. And I would definitely, people want bang for buck. It's a good ship to have. So yes, that's my recommendations for today. My hope for the CCU chain tomorrow is definitely this ship right here, because if I can get this, that'll be 2 CCUs linked together for almost everyone. This, and then the... what was the other one? Taurus? Yeah, this, then the Taurus, and then you could even then go from the Taurus to the Scorpius. They're free CCU chains for anyone ranked right there at that price point. So anyone that's sitting at, say, a prospector and they're wanting to get up to a mole, there's, I don't know what, about $30 worth of CCUs that are going to get you up nearly 100. It'll get you up about 90. So it's about $30 worth of CCUs and it'll get you up about $90 in ship value. So yeah, that's how CCUs work, by the way. That's how you CCU chain. But I think that's everything done and dusted. We've taken a look. Next is Drake Day in a couple of days, which we'll definitely get in the showroom for that, because that's definitely different. We'll go through the ships on the showroom. But seeing as I couldn't get the showroom today, I thought we'd do it here. Well, I probably could. It's probably up now. Let's just double... oh, I've been logged out. So yes, hope you've all enjoyed this. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye. Bye.